There's really not much else to say, folks. There's really not much else to say at this point. If you are a New York Mets fan, there's only one thing left to say. Folks, this is a video that I've wanted to do for a couple of weeks, as this season for the New York Mets has really gone on the downturn over the last couple of weeks. In these two series, they played against the Dodgers and the Giants, and now they get off to a bad start against Washington. Their season, folks, is basically over. They are 6 games under 500, 61 and 67. This is a team that was 47 and 40. In fact, here are the standings right there. 47 and 40. They had a 3.5 game lead over Philadelphia, 4-game lead over Atlanta at the All-Star break. And here they are now, 8 games out of first place, in third place, behind Atlanta. Philadelphia in second. This team, which at one point this year seemed like they were playing with a lot of moxie. They were, coming back in games. They were winning close games. Now can't win close games. All they do now is just lose one-run games. They can't hit the baseball. Last night against the Washington Nationals, the game they lost 2-1, they had the heart of their order up there with Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor and Javier Baez, and couldn't do anything with it. And it's been the story of the month. They are now 6-19 in the month of August. And here's some numbers for you. This I put together a couple days ago, so it's a couple days old, but it's still the same. It still sends the same point. Team is hitting .236 with runners in scoring position, .210 with runners in scoring position, and 2 out. That's right up there with some of the worst teams in baseball. We're talking Pittsburgh, Arizona, Minnesota. These teams that are not going anywhere. And for a team that's grounded into 96 double plays this year, 37 of them since the All-Star break. That's second in Major League Baseball. They just do not hit in the clutch. And you see the stats there, the guys who have really been the biggest culprits: Dom Smith, Francisco Lindor, Michael Conforto, James McCann, even Javier Baez to an extent since joining the Mets. None of these guys have hit well consistently all year for the Mets. And it's been a consistent pattern all season long. They don't drive runners in. They don't hit for a lot of power. And the only guy hitting in Pete Alonso, 29 home runs, 75 RBIs. Even he has struggled in key situations. There are a few at-bats during this past week where they ended up going 2-11 against the Dodgers and the Giants, where he was in big spots with the bases loaded against the Dodgers, struck out in the 9th inning. Had the bases loaded twice against the Giants the other day, grounded out into a fielder's choice that ended up driving in a run, and then grounded out, and that was the end of the game. So, against the Giants the other day, which they lost 3-2. Lost both games 3-2. So you have that, an offense that just isn't producing. On top of that, you have, of course, everyone wanting the manager fired. And this coming off of the game against the Giants the other day, where Taijuan Walker was pitching well, had 74 pitches in the 6th inning, got into a little bit of trouble in the 6th inning, and he gets pulled out of the game. And of course, the Met bullpen implodes, gives up the lead, and the Mets end up losing that game 3-2. And all Rojas had to say was, well, he decided to channel his inner Art Howe and say, hey, we battled through it, we're playing close games. Doesn't matter. You're losing all these games. Close games or not, you're losing all of them. And we knew that the Mets were going to have a hard time against the Dodgers and the Giants. They went 2-11 against those two teams combined in those 2 weeks. We knew it was going to be tough. But this was abysmal. This was absolutely abysmal. And what's kind of frustrating is that the pitching, for the most part, has been okay. Not great. I mean, Carlos Carrasco, since coming off the injury list, has been home run derby, for that matter. Batting practice for teams. But the pitching has been okay. Taijuan Walker has held his own. Marcus Stroman has held his own. The bullpen, at times, has done okay, has held their own. They just can't score. For the life of them, they just can't score at all. So, this team now sitting here at 61 and 67. And if you're the fans, you can blame the manager all you want. There's really 2 areas of blame that can go around. Really, everyone can be blamed for this. You can blame the players, one, for not playing well, not hitting well, not playing spirited baseball down the stretch of the season here. But also you can blame and look to put blame on the front office as well, because this was a team that going into the All-Star break in July was in contention, and they didn't do anything to fix this team. All they did was trade for Rich Hill, who's 41 years old, and then you trade for Javier Baez, who is also a shortstop, who's a pending free agent. And yes, I understand he's friends with Francisco Lindor, but let's be honest, is he going to sign to stay here, apply for less money, to play basically out of position for the next 5, 6, 7 years? I don't think so. So, and he hasn't played all that great. I know he had a home run the other day that tied a game, but overall hasn't played that great when healthy. So, that's all the Mets did at the trade deadline. That's all they did. Didn't do anything as far as in investing in starting pitching to help this team get over the hump, or even relief pitching to help this team get over the hump and get it towards the postseason. So I think the front office, Sandy Alderson, Zach Scott, from that standpoint, failed. And now moving forward, it's all about Steve Cohen, Mr. Twitter. We see him all the time jumping on the Twitter and expounding upon what's going on with the Mets, whether, he's been visiting the clubhouse, everyone's in good spirits, and then they go ahead and lose a game, or, please tell me what's going on because I'm having dinner at a great restaurant. These kind of tweets that have upset a lot of fans. But the one that really shook a lot of people was his tweet back on August 18th, where he said, "It's hard to understand how professional hitters can be this unproductive. The best teams use a more disciplined approach. The slugging and OPS numbers don't lie." He isn't wrong. Even Francisco Lindor said, "You know what, Steve? You're right on. You're right about that. We're not hitting the ball very well at all right now. Even I'm not hitting the ball very well at all right now." So yes, Steve Cohen was right in his tweet. But now it's going to be on him moving forward. What's he going to do? He's supposedly one of the richest owners, if not the richest owner in baseball right now. He's talked a lot about building a foundation of winning. We all know about what he said last November, about 3 to 5 years, a championship. What's he going to do to fix this team? Because you can't bring back a lot of the same faces moving forward. And again, as far as I'm concerned, the season is over. The off-season has already begun for the Mets. Between now and next March, what's this team going to look like? That's the big question, and that's the question that Steve Cohen has to answer. Is Luis Rojas his manager? I don't know if he is. Remember, he is on an expiring contract. The players, a lot of these faces have to change. Michael Conforto's a free agent. He has not hit well at all this year. Do the Mets really want to give him a qualifying offer? I don't know if they do. We'll see. McNeil has had his issues with Lindor earlier in the year. Do they bring him back? In short, they're pieces that are going to have to change to get this team moving in the right direction, especially if Cohen wants to build a team that can win a championship. This team needs a new persona, needs a new personality. They need a personality that doesn't get pushed over, whether it be somebody in the front office who has that kind of attitude, or someone in the dugout at manager. They need a kick-ass attitude. Kick-ass attitude in that franchise. Yeah. And it has to be more than just the owner. It has to be across the board, from top down. That kind of attitude to go out there. Because they've lost, 13 out of 15 here? Something like that? I mean, it's crazy. And they didn't even show up against the Washington Nationals team, who, oh, by the way, is starting to creep up to them for third place. Not good. Not good at all. Anyway, moving right along. Now, there is a team, of course, in town who, well, all they do is win. Course, is the Yankees' 13 straight victories. That is the longest winning streak for the Yankees. 13 straight games. The longest winning streak for the Yankees in over 60 years. You have to go back to 1961 to find a streak that was longer than that, as long as this. Now, the longest winning streak in Yankees history is 19, which I believe was in 1947. Yes, 1947 was their longest winning streak of all time, 19 games. Before that, you would have to go to 18 games was in 1953, 14 games, which they're trying to hit this weekend against the A's. Last time the Yankees did that as a franchise, go back to that would be 1941. So they keep knocking down records, and this was a team that earlier this year there was talk about Aaron Boone being fired. There was talk about, shaking things up, changing this team, moving forward. Maybe they're going to break up the front office, Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone. But now everything is turned around, and you can start with the trades that they made at the deadline, bringing in Joey Gallo, bringing in Anthony Rizzo. And obviously, I understand that Rizzo maybe has contributed a little bit more as far as the power is concerned. Gallo has certainly done his part. But it's not only those two guys, it's the fact that some of the guys that have been here finally picked it up. I mean, Luke Voigt has just been unconscious. He's right now hitting at 264 on the year. But for the month of August, since the trade went down, he is now hitting at the trade went down to bring Rizzo in, who basically took his job at first base. Voigt is now hitting at 309, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. He has picked it up in a big way here in the month of August. Then, of course, you have Giancarlo Stanton, who has had a home run in 4 straight games. He, too, has picked it up in a big way since moving from DH to the outfield. He's almost like an entirely different player, looking a lot like the MVP type of player he was back when he was with the Miami Marlins. Already this month, Stanton, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs in the month of August. That's the best he's had for any month this season, hitting at 325 in the month of August. He has been incredible. Then you have some of the young guys like Andrew Velasquez, who is a great story. A kid who was born, raised in the Bronx, grew up a Yankee fan who has contributed for them as well. So they're getting all kinds of contributions across the board. Their pitching has started to pick up. They've pitched well. You even had, Garrett Cole's, certainly starting to look like the ace that we're used to. They have had some contributions from the young guys like Luis Heel, who was with Somerset earlier in the year. He was phenomenal for the Yankees in a handful of starts that he got. Everything's looking up right now for the Yankees. And the question is, when are they going to lose again? Because you look at their schedule, they have Anaheim coming up, who is not that great. They have the Orioles, they have the Mets, they have the Rangers, they have a lot of bad teams. This is looking like a Yankee team that went from being a 500 team on July 4th at 41-41, being a team that could win 95-plus games this year. That is incredible, an incredible second half. And here they are sitting here at 76-52. They have gone 35-11. 35-11 since the 4th of July. They look unstoppable. They look like a team that could go deep into October. We'll see if their pitching can hold up, especially in the bullpen. But they look like a team that could make some noise come October this year. So that's where we stand, folks. Early in the year, the Mets were here, the Yankees were down here. Now it's all flipped. Yankees up here, Mets, well, they just keep going down. So remember what to do, folks. If you like it, follow us here on the social media at OpenMicNJ on Twitter, Facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, and of course, like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation. We'll talk to you next time.